It has finally come to part one of the season finale! What's up, YouTubers of the world? MegaGeekMixer here to give you guys my review on Stargirl Episode 12, Part 1 to the season finale, Stars and Stripes. And first off, let me just say, I was wondering why it was called that title, but come to the end, oh, you see exactly why it's called that title. And yes, that was something else to see right there. Now, first off, let me just say that I was not surprised when we finally got the full detail in on the Injustice Society's plan here, because throughout the entire of Season 1, you were already given breadcrumbs as to what they were doing, because let's face it, Jordan Icicle is their leader and stuff here, and even though they are all not really friends or anything, they're just co-workers doing things for a common cause because it's for the safety of their kids and everything. But either way, one thing you did know is that you were already figuring out their plan even before this episode came to be. But one of the things that didn't surprise me, though, also, was that when they found out this plan, they were starting to have doubts. They were like, should they stop them? Should they? And I'm just like, of course you guys would think that. Mostly these kids who are teenagers, because let's face it, as teenagers, you don't really understand fully of it yet, because let's face it, all the stuff that goes on in the world, and you do want it to just hurry up and end so all those problems can be solved, but let's face it, it must happen naturally. It can't be happening the way the ISA was doing it. But I do also love the fact that how they were able to unlock it. It ties into Rick here, to where we actually for once get to see a genuine smile out of Rick, who's always looking all mad and stuff, and just a bland stare on him and everything. But what I really loved was how this episode, like I expected, was bringing the family together and the team together more better than ever before. Especially the family, which I gotta say, with Mike, I am hoping that later on down the line, he gets to be a part of this too. And I'll explain more of that as I start to break this down here. But let's go ahead, start breaking. Basically, the episode starts off with the ISA beginning their mission of taking out Courtney and Whitmore and her family, everyone in the family. But the first part of it is with Pat finally deciding to tell Mike everything. Of course, Mike isn't wanting to listen, but that's just because all this stalling, no surprise. Can we blame the kid? All that stalling was making him not wanting to listen to anyone, not even his own father. But what was really great from taking away from all this is that, like, while Mike was gone for a bit, who better to show up at that shop but Sportsmaster? And yeah, I wish, the one kind of negative thing I have in this scene here is that we still didn't really get to see much of Sportmaster's and Pat's relationship outside of knowing each other. I mean, I know we saw a little bit of it to kind of give you that sort of thing, but the way they were talking here in their dialogues would make you think there was some sort of bit of a friendship there, if anything, some respect there. Because when they were fighting, especially when Sportsmaster decided not to use his weapons and just do it fist to fist, he was still giving Pat a few lessons and was being impressed by him, and even admitting that he liked him and stuff. And I know that's probably saying that he's just saying that as a cockiness thing or as an insult. But some part of me saw it in him saying he really did like Pat, and it was kind of disappointing to him that he had to beat down Pat. In other words, like saying he liked him, but he's in the way, so he'll do what he has to. And as we saw with Sportsmaster and Tigress, or Huntress, I forget what her superhero identity is. One thing we know about them is that, yeah, they're a feisty couple, which understandably know why they're together. See, while Sportsmaster was taking care of Pat, Huntress was taking care of Courtney and her mom. And this is what I loved about both of those scenes. Both of them ended in great conclusion, with the daughter and the mother working together to defeat Tigress, and the father and son working together to beat Sportsmaster. That was really cool right there. But one more other thing to take from the scene of Sportsmaster and Huntress is that when they rendezvoused together back at Courtney's house when they all left, they had this moment of of meeting up with the Fiddler, who in this episode we see her giving her son some advice and showing here that it looks like come season 2 we're gonna have a new ISA in the form of the kids. At least that's what it's teasing to us. We don't know for certain if they'll be the main villain, but it's definitely teasing that they're coming sometime down the line. But either way, like I told you guys before, ISA members don't really like each other and stuff, and it was shown when the Fiddler met up with Sportsmaster and Huntress. She insulted those two about being bad parents and how their daughter's going to be just like them. I don't think there's any need to say going to be. It's pretty clear that she already is, because we've already seen a few scenes of her to know that, yeah, she is definitely like her parents. But that isn't as important as to what comes next for us during the middle of the episode. Now, as we all know, since their identities are revealed, they had to go away. Pretty much it reminded me of Black Lightning in season 1 when they all had to do an escape route by going to a cabin in the woods. That's exactly what happened here. You had the robots, you had everyone there, even Sir Justin there. And yeah, first off, this is where I can finally explain about Mike, where I am so happy he finally knows it, and finally things are, now that he knows, he's kind of wishing he could have something in it too, so he can be like a hero. And now I think we all know going forward what he's gonna have, and that's the Justice Society of America's pin, the one that has that genie, Thunder, I believe it was. All I know is that's got to be for him, and I can't wait to see what that's like going into season 2 or whatever season. And speaking of season 2, I know it's going to the CW, and right now, with all the shows that are on CW, for the majority of them, they start out okay, but then they started kind of losing me and stuff. Black Lightning's the only one that hasn't lost me, and I've already told y'all on what my rankings were for those seasons. If y'all don't remember, if I'm not mistaken, I gave my list out on that on the season finale of season 3. So go watch it if you need to. If not, I'll be sure to leave a link in the description down below. But either way, one thing to take away is that I'm worried that Stargirl, which has been a great season going into the DCUnivierse, now going to the CW, will it affect it going forward? I would like to hope not, but we have to just wait and see on that one. But now, having put that all aside, ask for what's going on in that cabin. Well, this is where we can finally go into Rick, who has this whole time this season been trying to figure out what his father put in that diary. It was all coding to show what the ISA was planning. And I'm not sure about you guys, but I knew all along what it was because it was too obvious. Because let's face it, we may not have got to see our man that much, but one thing we did know is that he loved cars, especially that Mustang. And I was just saying to that dude, it's right in front of you. It's so obvious. But of course, we know Rick. He's not really one to think much and stuff, and he's not really one to take a breather. But when Pat finally came along, did they finally figure it out? And finally, we found out what the ISA was planning, or better yet, the details of it was finally given to us. As we know, they wanted Brainwave so they can use his powers to project his powers and get inside the heads of millions of people all over the country of America. And no surprise when we finally see this, see the machine. I'm sure just like all of you, just like me, y'all were thinking the same thing. Inside, outside, it looks like Cerebro. And yeah, it does. Now, I'm not going to go into this whole, these guys copy Marvel, because let's face it, for any of us who have been fans of DC or Marvel or both in general and have known about their history, we know for a fact that it's very common knowledge that DC and Marvel have been copying each other for years and years, pretty much from the very beginning. So at this point, it's pointless to even say hey, they copied them for that. No, they copied them for that. It's a useless argument. It's nonsense. Just let it be. All I just know is that when I saw it, yeah, I was like, they made Cerebro. But even still, though, what they were using it for, like I said, brainwaves powers being amplified all over there because they want to stop global warming and all the things that go on in the real world. In other words, they just want people to have the same wavelength of thinking and stuff. And yeah, it may sound like sounds like a good idea and stuff. I mean, sometimes we are all thinking that, but at the same time, we take a moment to think about it and put it into reality, and we realize that's not something we all want. I mean, sure, we may all think that's a good idea, but how can we really say that the world will be better? Because here's the thing, we need separate minds out there so they can help you have a different perspective on things in life. Now, no one's saying that one person's way is right, another person's way is right, because no, you can't say that. You can only say that this is the path they choose in life. And just because it's a path they choose doesn't mean that some of the things they do may have some bad things to it, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're bad. Well, in this case, at least for the ISA, it is bad because here's the thing. With them going in there and trying to control the minds of all the people, we find out the catch is that they can only really take control of mature minds, meaning adult minds. And if for those who resist it, they will die from resisting the brain power. And they've already they're going to take over millions. And it was scouted that there are going to be 25% of those people who will die from it. And yeah, if they're already going for millions and there's 25% of those people who could die, that's still a lot. So we all saw in the end what the ISA is planning. Yeah, even Courtney and the others were starting to think they were on the wrong side. But hey, the one thing that these teenagers will learn as they grow up or something is that we can't force people to do the same thing or have the same wavelength. We can only let this happen naturally, not through taking over people's minds. But either way, though, the episode ended with the adults having their minds controlled, but I think it was worse for Courtney, and this is where it comes in for Stars and Stripes, as when they were all splitting up, Starman and Stripes were on one team going into these tunnels. Which, by the way, I love that CGI they were showing of us of that robot flying over to where Stargirl is and then running with her to the tunnels. That was freaking awesome. But, like I said, adult minds, and yeah, one of those minds being Pat, and his mind is now controlled to where now the robot's turned against Courtney. So how's she gonna get through this? Oh, one can only wonder. But still, guys, love this episode. Great way to bring both the team together, the family together, and finally figuring out what the ISA's plans are in full detail here, and seeing them all finally go on their mission to stop them, because seeing all those heroes going together from one side to another for those tunnels, awesome sight. And I cannot wait for the season finale coming next week. It promises to be fun. It's going to be awesome. Can't wait. But until then, guys, I'm going to go ahead. Let's leave it all at that. And hey, if you're enjoying my videos, all you got to do is click that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to be notified when I make more videos. And until then, MegaGeekMixer signing out. Bye!